selectors you folks work with look for increasing and growing populations a sign that you've got the people that can fill the jobs that they're bringing with them. They don't understand that in markets, people follow jobs. Jobs don't necessarily follow people, but that really means that we have to dig down deep, get the data right, and make certain that if they're coming in with a site that we can guarantee or qualify, get them a qualified labor force. We can't lie, because what's been helping Ohio when it comes to economic development marketing is that, yeah, we may spin it a little bit, but on the whole, we tell the truth. Second thing is that there's the threat of becoming an increasingly commodity-driven economy dominated by global competitors. There's the China threat, there's the India threat, but frankly, I believe if we use China and India correctly, that's going to end up growing our economy, not being a threat to this economy. One is because that's where the middle class is growing, in China and India, and either our companies are in those markets or they're going to be permanently excluded, and two, that's also where specialization in a global supply chain can make a difference. But we have done some pro forma modeling of supply chain, and it's really interesting. If you aren't manufacturing in China for the China market, and you're doing small volumes, and you're shipping back to the United States, locations in Ohio and Kentucky are better locations for you, because the cost of transportation is so damn high. And in the recovery, it's going to get higher. The other thing that happens is that long-standing global supply chain violates every single rule of continuous improvement, and it violates every single rule of just-in-time inventory management, and it really means that you've lost control of your process. Now, if you outsource the entire product offshore, fine, you deserve to have it ripped off because that's what's going to happen to you, but that's a different therapy session. We also still have to wrestle with the legacy of outdated labor practices. Now, I'll hand it to the UAW. They've done amazing things to change work rules. I'm really proud of what the local up at Brook Park has done. They've saved that plant. They got smarter, quicker, and better than the company did. But we still have adversarial workplace practices. We still have work rules in too many labor categories. We have legacy costs, and we've got an outdated industrial commission. As we interviewed companies throughout the state, we've heard comments such as the industrial commission is the best advertisement for work that China has. Well, that's a great thing to say. And the other thing that we hear is that if you get in a fight with the industrial commission, even if you win, you lose. And our competitor straits are doing it better. The antidote to all this, by the way, is new firms, new industries, and new business cultures, because new firms, new businesses, new industries don't start with work rules. Yes, you and management get to make up your own enemy as you go forward. And the overall perception of the region is dominated by industries under stress or decline. The Rust Belt image is with us. The struggles that the old domestic autos have had is going to haunt us for 5-6 years. I really think it's time to go on a new Ohio tour so that we ourselves can see what's new and different in the state so that we can believe what we're telling others. The response has to be one of opportunity. The response to the future can't be one of trying to build walls. So what have we learned about economic development? The first thing we've learned is there are no silver bullets that's going to turn a slow-moving traditional economy into a vibrant, high-performance one. Even all the work that excitement people have on alternative energy, it's important, it's there, but it's not going to change the ship. It's not going to work everywhere in the state. We are a portfolio of complicated regions. So that really means that if you're trying to find that one industry that's going to change the state, change everything in the state, you're in a fool's errand. Remember, Ohio is landmass, is larger than Hungary, population is bigger than Israel, gross domestic product bigger than Belgium. The only thing we don't have is an army, but we have a hell of an Air Force base. We have to think in those terms the same way countries think of. The second thing is, we do have a skilled workforce and a strong business dynamics. I'm sorry, let me go back. We do have learned that a skilled workforce and strong business dynamics are highly correlated. We are an undereducated state, but the answer is not to get everybody in the state a BA or above. And the answer is not to focus everything on baseline literacy. We have to deal with poverty issues. We have to deal with issues of higher order thinking and learning. But we also have to pay attention to the middle, which is skills certified standards with industry standard training And someone is going to make more money with a land certificate, a Sun Microsystem or Microsoft land operator certificate, than they will with a BA in philosophy. So we have to make certain that we take a broad view of what it means to be educated in the state. We have found out that the pursuit of social goals such as racial inclusion and income inequality can enhance growth. One, it shows up in the regression equations. The other thing, it makes common sense. If you aren't an open, accepting community, international investment is going to go elsewhere. The same way that Jim Rhodes saw the dollar volume leaving the state of Ohio and going to Japan, and those massive surpluses piling up in Japan, what did Jim Rhodes do? He went to Japan and said, come forth and invest in my country, because you're going to, in my state, because you're going to have to do it in the U.S. sooner or later. We should be following the same trail of money and getting back on the same types of, not the same types of planes, they're kind of old, but take the same notion that Jim Rhodes did and make certain that we're open to new investment. While positively related to growth, locational amenities aren't as important as the other factors. Being a nice place to live is necessary to play. If you aren't a nice place to live, investment's going to skip over you, talent will move away, but it's not sufficient to win. I'm blessed. I've traveled the country on a regular basis. I visit communities all over the upper Midwest, throughout the Plain States, and I've been in very few places that are just awful. I've been in many places that are great places to live. Realizing quality of life is not a distinguishing factor. If you don't have good quality of life, you've already lost. But if you have good quality of life and being a great place to raise kids, you can't sit on your laurels because there are 250 other places that can say the same thing. And a region has to overcome this legacy of place cost. Yes, folks, in Cuyahoga County, that's the reason why I'm paying attention to what's taking place with county government reform, because that's a referendum on the future of the state, and it's a referendum on the future of legacy of place costs. Do we really understand that maybe the best thing that our local government can do for economic development is get their own costs and services in line? And that's going to be an issue that's going to haunt us for the next decade. So the competitive advantages of Ohio is that we have to understand that we still have to improve our product when it comes to getting an educated workforce. We have to get much better at entrepreneurial management. And we still have to continue the fight for workplace flexibility. Those are the three big issues that we as a state and economic developers have to tackle. We know that we have a portfolio of products in the state. We've got a portfolio of technologies. We have a portfolio of regions. That is to our strength. And we have to figure out how we match those things up across the state to do what's best for productivity. The keys to survival for companies and plants, flexible workforce and flexible work rules are absolutely key to survival. Notice I've said it 4 times. That's how important I think it is. The company's supply chain culture is going to be very important, because what we're noticing is very large companies are essentially disintegrating their internal structure of doing work. They're outsourcing more than ever. They're trying to figure out what they're globally competitive at. So then the real issue is, how do they work with their supply chain? They try to bleed them and kill them. That company is not going to work well. They work with them and form true competitive partnerships, then the company's going to do well. We did learn in this recession that for small companies in particular, leverage was a company killer. So if you don't have rapidly growing markets, you have to really look at what's going on with your debt levels. And we know that the long-term value of the dollar will influence the health of not only the auto assembly clusters, but this entire state. And in fact, federal policy where clacking and clamoring to increase the value of the dollar is going to be working against Ohio's best future.